Two hearts, two worlds, the alien who taught me to trust again. The rain had just stopped when I looked out from my small apartment window. The city lights blurred against the damp glass, turning everything into a hazy mixture of gold and gray. It was one of those nights when silence spoke louder than words, and loneliness crept in like an old friend I never wanted to see again. My name is Mira Dawson, a scientist who once believed in the beauty of trust, in people, in love, in life. But that belief faded 2 years ago when my closest friend and partner, Ethan, betrayed me during a research project we had built together. He took everything, my ideas, my work, and turned it into his own fame. I was left behind, forgotten, like dust under the stars I used to dream about. Since then, I had built walls so high that no one could reach me. My lab was my home now, my experiments my only friends. I spent nights studying cosmic signals, those strange whispers from the edge of the galaxy. They were steady and mysterious, patterns of light and sound that no one could fully explain.
Some said it was just static.
I believed it was something more. That night, as the clock struck midnight, I noticed something unusual on my screen. A new signal, stronger than anything I had ever seen. It pulsed in perfect rhythm, like a heartbeat.
Beep. Pause. Beep. Pause.
It wasn't random. It was trying to say something. I leaned closer, my fingers trembling as I adjusted the frequency. The pattern repeated, then changed. It formed a sequence of symbols I had never seen before, but somehow, deep down, it felt familiar. Is someone out there? I whispered to myself. The signal grew brighter, and before I could react, the power in the lab flickered. The lights dimmed, screens turned black, and a deep hum filled the room. My heart raced. Then, through the glass roof of the observatory, a streak of light shot across the sky. Too low, too close. A crash echoed from the forest behind the lab. I froze, unable to move, my breath shallow. It wasn't just a meteor. I could feel it. Something had landed. Something alive. The rain began again, thin and silver. I grabbed my flashlight and coat, ignoring the storm warnings on my phone. Curiosity had always been my weakness, and tonight, it burned brighter than fear. The forest was alive with sound, dripping water, snapping branches, the distant rumble of thunder. I followed the faint trail of smoke and broken trees until I reached a clearing. And there it was. A small, metallic craft, cracked open, glowing with pale blue light. Steam rose from its surface. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. I stepped closer, trying to believe my eyes. Something moved inside. At first, I thought it was a trick of light. But then, a figure crawled out, tall, slender, wrapped in silver-like armor that shimmered with strange energy. Its eyes, glowing violet, met mine. I froze, unable to breathe. It wasn't human, but it wasn't frightening either. There was something gentle in the way it looked at me, as if it was as scared as I was. Who are you? I whispered, my voice barely audible. The being tilted its head, as though trying to understand. Then it spoke, not with sound, but with thoughts. I heard its voice inside my mind. Do not fear. I mean no harm. I stumbled back, shaking. You can talk inside my head?
Yes.
I am sorry. My vessel broken. I need help. Despite the fear rushing through me, something in its voice, calm, warm, sincere, made me pause. This wasn't an invader or a monster. It was someone lost. Are you hurt? I asked softly. It nodded slightly. The armor on its arm flickered, revealing silvery skin with faint marks that glowed where it bled. Not red, but a soft blue. Without thinking, I reached out. I can help you. For a moment, it hesitated. Then, slowly, it extended its hand. When our fingers touched, I felt a shock, not painful, but alive. Like electricity mixed with warmth, with emotion. I gasped, stepping back. Your heart, it is broken. The voice whispered inside my mind again. I stared at it, stunned. What? I can feel it.
Pain.
Betrayal. You do not trust anymore. Tears filled my eyes, though I didn't know why. How could you know that? Because your heart speaks louder than your words, Mira Dawson. My name. It knew my name. I wanted to ask more, but the being suddenly collapsed, its glow fading. Oh no! I ran forward, kneeling beside it. Its breathing, if that's what it was, had grown weak. I have to get you out of here, I said, trying to lift its arm over my shoulder. It was heavier than I expected, but I managed to drag it toward the lab, the rain soaking us both. Behind us, the wrecked ship slowly dimmed and went silent, leaving only the sound of the storm and the steady rhythm of my heart, beating beside an alien who had somehow already seen too much of it. Inside the lab, I laid him, or it, on the examination table. The glowing blue light beneath his skin flickered. I used my scanner, but the readings made no sense. His body wasn't made of anything found on Earth. Still, I cleaned his wounds, covered them with medical gel, and whispered, "You'll be okay. Just hold on." He stirred slightly, his eyes opening again. "Why help me?" he asked through my mind. I paused. "Because you need it. And because maybe I need to know that trust isn't dead after all." He looked at me quietly, and for the first time, I thought I saw something that felt almost like a smile, soft, uncertain, and filled with light. When morning came, sunlight filtered through the lab's large windows, painting soft golden stripes across the floor. The storm had passed, leaving the world washed and still. I sat beside the examination table, staring at the being who had changed everything in just a single night. He lay motionless, his chest rising and falling in a slow rhythm. The soft glow beneath his skin had dimmed, but it was still there, pulsing faintly, like the light of a distant star refusing to die. I hadn't slept. My mind was a whirlpool of questions. Who was he? Where did he come from? Why did he know my name? I leaned closer, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Can you hear me?" I whispered. His violet eyes opened slowly. For a moment, he looked disoriented, then his voice echoed gently in my mind. "I hear you, Mira Dawson." I exhaled in relief. "You're awake. That's good. How do you feel?"
Weak.
"But alive." He tried to sit up, and I instinctively reached out to steady him. His skin felt warm, not cold like metal, but alive like sunlight after rain. "You need rest," I said softly. "You're safe here. No one will find you." He studied me for a moment, then asked, "Why do you help when you do not understand?" I hesitated. The answer wasn't simple. Because I've been broken too. And sometimes helping someone else heal is the only way to remember how to heal yourself. His glowing eyes softened. "Your heart is strong but afraid. You have lost trust, yes?" I smiled weakly.
Yeah.
"I guess you could say that. Then perhaps I will learn trust from you, and you will learn it again from me." His words surprised me, not just their meaning, but the quiet conviction in them. There was no doubt, no hesitation. Only calm truth. Over the next few days, I hid him in the lab. I told no one, not even the few colleagues who occasionally checked in. I worked to repair his translator device, which had been damaged in the crash, so he could speak normally instead of through my thoughts. As he recovered, he began to explore my world, carefully, curiously. I found him once standing by the window, watching the sunrise. His tall frame glowed faintly in the morning light, and for a moment, he didn't look alien at all, just human in wonder. "Do you have a name?" I asked one morning as I handed him a cup of water. He looked at me thoughtfully. "My people call me Kaelrin, but you may call me Kale." "Kale," I repeated. "That's beautiful." He tilted his head. "And your name?" "Mira. It means light in one of your old languages, yes?" I blinked. "You know that." He smiled, that same faint, almost shy expression that made my heart flutter in ways I didn't understand. "Your name suits you." Every night, Kale told me stories of his world, a planet called Arinder, circling two suns. A world of crystal oceans and silver trees, where music wasn't played, but felt through light and air. His voice carried images that filled my imagination, glowing cities floating above clouds, creatures that sang in harmony with the stars. But not all his stories were peaceful. There was a war, he said one night, sitting beside the flickering hologram of Earth's sky. My people believed fear was the enemy. But in trying to destroy fear, we lost something more. What did you lose? I asked softly. He looked down.
Trust.
Between our worlds, between our hearts. We forgot that fear and trust are born together. One cannot live without the other. His words hit me deeply. I remembered my own fear. The fear of being hurt again, of believing someone only to be betrayed. You sound like someone who knows what it's like to lose faith, I murmured. I do, he said quietly. I was sent to study distant worlds, to understand emotion. But when I crashed here, I learned more about it from you in days than I did in years among the stars. I looked away, feeling warmth rise to my cheeks. I'm not that special. But he shook his head. You are. You care even when it hurts. That is rare among both our kinds. Days turned into weeks. Kale learned to move without his armor, and his energy stabilized. He often helped me in my research, his knowledge of cosmic waves far beyond human science. Together, we discovered that the strange signal I detected wasn't random. It was his distress call, sent across galaxies before his ship fell. One night, as we worked late, he suddenly said, Mira, you look tired. You should rest. I smiled faintly. You sound like my conscience. He stepped closer. On Erinder, we do not sleep as you do. But we do dream, not with eyes closed, but with hearts open. Must be nice, I said softly. Dreaming without pain. He looked at me, eyes glowing gently. Pain teaches truth. You would not have found me if not for the pain that kept you awake that night. His words made me pause. Maybe he was right. Maybe every broken thing had led to this, to him. I turned away, pretending to check the readings. You're starting to sound like a philosopher. Or perhaps, he said quietly, someone learning what it means to trust again. The silence that followed was deep, but not uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that says more than words ever could. That night, I dreamed for the first time in months. I dreamed of standing on two worlds, one human, one alien, connected by a bridge of light. Kale stood beside me, holding out his hand. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was him, sitting quietly near the window, watching the dawn. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. The following days passed in a strange, beautiful rhythm, like a song that didn't belong to this earth, but had somehow found its way into my heart. Kale and I worked together in the lab almost every day, decoding signals, testing strange energy patterns, and learning about each other's worlds in between. Sometimes he'd ask simple questions that made me smile. Why do humans smile when they are happy, but also when they are sad? Why do you watch the sky if you are afraid of what might come from it? And sometimes, I'd ask him things that no book could ever explain. Do your people love the way we do? He would pause for a long time before answering. We love not through words or promises, but through trust, the rarest gift in any world. It was a cold evening when everything changed. I was in the lab, studying the frequency pattern from the signal we had received weeks ago. Kale was outside, walking near the forest edge. Suddenly, the monitors began to flicker again, just like that first night. The same hum filled the room, low, deep, alive. But this time, it wasn't one signal. It was many. The screen glowed with countless pulses, arranged in a rhythm that made my stomach twist. I recognized it now. It was a tracking code. Oh no, I whispered. They found him. Kale entered the lab moments later, his face tense. You heard it too. I nodded, my voice shaky. It's your people, isn't it? Yes, he said softly. They have been searching for my vessel. Now they have found your planet's coordinates. I swallowed hard. They're coming to take you back. He looked down, silent. It is what must happen. My presence here endangers you. My kind does not trust easily, especially humans. But you're not like them, I said, my chest tightening. You care. He stepped closer, his violet eyes glowing faintly. Caring and belonging are not the same, Mira. I may care for you, but I do not belong here. I shook my head, tears welling up. No, you belong where you are understood. Maybe that's here. Maybe that's with me. Kale's expression softened, full of something I couldn't name. You have given me more than I ever expected to find among the stars. But my people will not see it that way. What will they do? I asked, barely able to speak. They will retrieve me. Erase all traces of my existence from your world. Your memories might even be altered. They cannot risk the truth being known. I felt my heart stop. Erase my memories? You mean you'll be gone and I won't even remember you? Kale lowered his head. That is their way. They believe forgetting is safer than feeling. For the first time, I saw fear in him, not the fear of pain, but the fear of loss. No, I said, standing firm. You told me once that your people lost trust because they tried to destroy fear. Don't let them make that mistake again. Don't let them take what we found. He looked at me, eyes full of conflict. You cannot stop them. Then let me try, I said. Because for the first time in years, I trust again. And I'm not letting that go. That night, we worked together to shield the lab's signal emitters, hoping to block the incoming transmissions. Kale used fragments of his ship's technology, weaving them into my old equipment. The air hummed with energy as light arcs danced across the metal. Sweat dripped from my forehead as I watched him work, his movements fast but graceful. Will this really stop them? I asked.
He shook his head.
Not forever, but long enough. Long enough for what? He turned to me. For me to say goodbye properly. My throat tightened. You don't have to. He reached out and touched my hand gently. Mira, from the moment I found you in the forest, I felt your pain, the walls you built to protect yourself. But I also saw the light behind them. You taught me what it means to feel again. I blinked back tears. And you taught me that trust isn't something we find, it's something we build, even when we're scared. He smiled softly, that same almost human smile that made my heart ache. Two hearts from two worlds. And yet, we understand each other better than our own kind ever could. The hum of the lab deepened suddenly, and Kale's body glowed with a brighter light. They are here, he whispered. I turned toward the window. Outside, the night sky rippled, not with thunder, but with energy. 3 faint lights appeared, descending slowly. Kale, he looked at me one last time. No matter what they take from you, the feeling will remain. The heart remembers what the mind forgets. Before I could speak, he placed his palm against my forehead. A warm surge of energy filled me, not painful, but blindingly bright. My vision blurred. I could hear his voice echo in my mind. If you cannot remember my face, remember my light. And then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes again, it was morning. The lab was silent. The equipment was intact. The sky was clear, as if nothing had happened. Except for one thing. On my desk lay a small crystal, glowing faintly with violet light. When I touched it, I felt warmth spread through my hand, and a single image flashed in my mind, a pair of violet eyes, filled with kindness. A voice echoed softly within me. Trust the stars, Mira. They always find their way back. Days turned into weeks, and the world went on as if nothing had changed. The city lights flickered, people hurried past, and the same stars that once shimmered with mystery now seemed ordinary again. I went back to work at the research center, but there was a strange emptiness inside me, a quiet ache I couldn't name. I caught myself looking out the window too often, searching the night sky without knowing why. Sometimes, I'd wake in the middle of the night with a sense of loss so deep that it left me breathless. I'd dream of a light, soft, violet, warm, reaching toward me, whispering words I could never fully remember. There was also the crystal. It still sat on my desk, glowing faintly, never fading. I didn't know where it came from, but something inside me refused to throw it away. Every time I touched it, a strange peace filled me, familiar, comforting, like a hand I had once held. One evening, I stayed late at the lab. I was reviewing old data, trying to fix a problem in one of my earlier projects. As I scrolled through the old logs, I noticed something odd. A file that didn't belong. It was labeled Project Kale. I frowned. Kale? What is that? When I opened it, the screen flickered and then filled with strange symbols, the same kind I'd seen months ago during the cosmic signal tests. I felt a chill down my spine. I didn't remember creating this file, yet every part of me knew it meant something. My hands trembled as I touched the crystal. The moment I did, the computer screen changed. The symbols rearranged themselves into lines of light that formed a message. If you are reading this, it means I am gone, but not forgotten. I gasped. The voice wasn't heard, it was felt. Soft, familiar, echoing in the quiet corners of my mind. They erased your memories to protect you. But I could not erase myself from your heart. Tears welled in my eyes as fragments began to return. Flashes of silver light, a forest, a pair of violet eyes, a voice that spoke through thoughts. My name is Kale, the voice continued, and once, under your sky, you taught me what trust means. You showed me that even in pain, hope can grow. I left a part of my light with you, the crystal, so you would never truly forget. I covered my mouth, sobbing quietly. Kale, I am watching from afar, his voice said gently, but distance cannot break what hearts remember. You and I are proof that connection lives beyond memory, beyond time, beyond worlds. The screen went dark. The crystal's light pulsed, once, twice, like a heartbeat. That night, I walked to the forest where I first found him. The air was cold, the ground soft from the rain. I stood in the same clearing, looking up at the endless sky. I remember now, I whispered. I remember you. The stars above shimmered faintly, as if answering me. I don't know if you can hear me, I said, my voice breaking. But thank you for finding me when I was lost, for teaching me how to trust again. The crystal in my hand grew warmer, and suddenly, I saw it, a streak of light racing across the sky, brighter than anything I'd ever seen. It wasn't a meteor. It was deliberate, slow, steady, alive. For a moment, it hovered above the forest, its glow the same soft violet I would never forget. My heart leaped. Kale, I breathed. And then, I heard it, faint but unmistakable, like a memory returning home. Mira Dawson. The stars remember you. In the following weeks, I began rebuilding my life. I reopened my research on cosmic communication, but now it wasn't just about science, it was about connection. I created a new project called the Bridge Initiative, dedicated to understanding interstellar trust and empathy. My colleagues thought it was just another theoretical study, but I knew better. It was a promise, to him, to myself, and to whatever lay beyond the stars. And sometimes, when I sat alone at night, watching the sky, the crystal would glow softly beside me, never fading, never gone. One evening, I received a faint signal on my monitor, weak, almost like static. But then, the rhythm became clear.
Beep. Pause. Beep. Pause.
Just like the first time, my heart raced. Kale? I whispered. The message formed slowly on the screen, translated through light and sound. Trust the stars, Mira. They are only the beginning. Tears rolled down my cheeks, but this time, they weren't from pain. They were from hope, the kind that only comes when two hearts, no matter how far apart, still find a way to beat as one. That night, I realized something beautiful. Even if memories fade and worlds drift apart, the feeling of true trust, once shared, never dies. Because trust, like love, travels farther than light itself. And somewhere beyond the stars, Kale was smiling that it had been almost a year since the night I last saw Kale's light streak across the sky. A year of silence, of questions, and of quiet hope that refused to die. The Bridge Initiative had grown beyond what I ever dreamed. Scientists from across the world joined to study the strange signals that danced between galaxies, signals that carried not just sound, but emotion. Every time I analyzed them, I felt something familiar hiding within their patterns. Some nights, I stayed late in the lab just listening, not for data, not for proof, but for a heartbeat, that same gentle rhythm that had once called me into the forest. One evening, I sat by the window, the crystal still glowing faintly beside me. I had gotten used to its light, soft, steady, comforting.
But that night, something changed.
The glow pulsed faster, brighter, until it filled the room with a pale violet hue. My breath caught. Kale? The crystal lifted from the desk, floating in midair. Light spiraled around it, forming shapes, soft, fluid, familiar. My heart raced as the light took form, tall, slender, wrapped in silver shimmer. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The light faded slightly, and there he was.
Kale.
Not as I remembered him, not entirely solid, but there, standing before me like a dream that had found its way back into reality. Kale, my voice trembled. How are you here? He smiled softly, his eyes glowing with the same violet warmth. Through you, Mira. Through the bridge you built. The connection between your world and mine has opened for a moment. I took a step closer, my heart pounding. You came back. I never truly left, he said gently. Our bond. It became part of the signal itself. Every time you searched the stars, you were calling me home. I felt tears blur my vision. I thought I'd lost you forever. He reached out, his hand made of light, yet when it touched mine, I felt warmth.
Real, alive.
Nothing truly trusted is ever lost, he whispered. You taught me that. For a long moment, we stood in silence, human and alien, two beings from different worlds, connected by something stronger than time. I've missed you, I said softly. He looked at me with eyes full of quiet love. And I have watched over you. Your courage has changed, not just you, but my people. They have begun to question, to wonder if maybe trust is not weakness, but strength. I smiled through my tears. Then maybe there's hope for both our worlds.
There is, he said.
Because one human dared to believe again. The crystal pulsed brighter. The air shimmered. I could feel the energy building around us, the same way it had the night he disappeared. What's happening? I asked, panic creeping into my voice. The bridge cannot stay open for long, Kale said quietly. I came only to say what I could not before. My heart ached. No, please don't go again. He stepped closer, his light surrounding me like a soft embrace. Listen, Mira. This connection, this trust, it does not end here. It will live in the stars, in the hearts of those who believe that love can cross any boundary. Tears streamed down my face. You're talking like this is goodbye. He smiled, that same gentle, radiant smile that had once broken through my darkness. Goodbye is just another word for waiting. Then he reached out, touching my heart with his hand of light. A surge of warmth spread through me, memories flooding back in full. The forest,
the rain,
the night he first said my name, the laughter, the late-night talks, the way he made me feel seen. Mira Dawson, his voice echoed softly in my mind. Your trust brought me back to life. Promise me, keep trusting. Keep looking up. I nodded, unable to speak. I promise. The light began to fade, his form slowly dissolving into 1,000 glowing fragments that swirled around me like stardust. Kale, I called out, reaching for him. His voice lingered, soft and calm, like a final whisper of wind before dawn. When the stars remember us, you'll know I am near. And then he was gone. I stood there for a long time, surrounded by silence. But this time, the silence didn't hurt. It was full, alive, carrying his memory like a heartbeat in the air. The crystal, now dim, rested back on the table. When I touched it, I felt the faintest pulse. It wasn't glowing anymore, but it was warm, alive in its own quiet way. I looked out the window. The night skies stretched endlessly above, and for the first time, I didn't feel small. I felt connected to something vast, beautiful, and full of meaning. Months later, my research caught the world's attention. The Bridge Initiative became the foundation for peaceful communication between Earth and other civilizations. The signals we once thought were random now formed patterns of understanding, shared across galaxies. But for me, it was more than science. It was faith. Sometimes, late at night, I still walk to the same clearing in the forest, the place where it all began. I look up, and every now and then, among the millions of stars, I see one light blink twice. Slow, rhythmic, familiar.
Beep. Pause. Beep. Pause.
And I smile, whispering into the night, I see you, Kale. Because I know now that love doesn't need presence to be real. It only needs memory and trust. Two hearts. Two worlds. One promise. Written in light.